Some psychologists say stay within your comfort zone and you'll be okay. Well, what if you go in another place, out of your comfort zone, to do God's work? Hello, welcome to Wordnet. I'm your host, Jack Knight. With an angel here today, Miguel Angel Loyola. He's got a couple of names associated with the church that you might remember. Angels and Saint
Ignatius
Loyola.
Uh-huh.
What an unusual name, Ignatius.
Yes.
I don't believe I've ever met anybody in my lifetime with that name. Miguel, you are with a group called Wider Circle.
Yes.
A wider circle. We talked about that little circle in the teaser. You know, you have in the theater, we have what we call our circle.
Yes.
That's your off stage, that's you, but once you pass onto the stage, you are somebody else. You're acting, you're doing something else.
Right.
And you go from your comfort circle to the blue zone. I want to hear about the blue zones in just a minute. But first of all, let's talk about you. You were born in Argentina.
Yes, Buenos Aires.
Came here as a young man.
Yes.
And you have 7 children.
12.
12.
7 with us and 5 in heaven.
5 that passed.
Mm-hmm.
That's extraordinary. Let me ask you about the work that you do now. Wider Circle, why does it given that name?
It's because we're trying to reach out to create a larger community of senior citizens. We're trying to help them create their own circle in the area where they live with other members, where they can communicate, where they can get out of their homes, loneliness, depression. Most of the senior citizens that we work with, they have children that they've grown up and they went out to college and they went out and lived their lives with their families. And sometimes they don't have anybody to visit them or just to come or ask them how they're doing. They move to another state. And so there is a need of this service that I just came across. I got a phone call because I prayed to God, God help me find a job where I can help people. And I got a phone call.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Who started all of this?
The founder of the company, his name is Moshe. He was born in Israel. And he's a doctor. He's professional, and he has parents also that are of age, and he wanted to see what he could do for them so they can live a better life. They can be aging with quality, with health, and not lonely. So he decided to visit the zones that you mentioned earlier.
The blue
zones, yeah.
And they're all over the world.
Yeah, there are 5 known blue zones. There may be more where people pass 100 years of age. The majority of them, a big percentage. And so he went out and visited those places, and he noticed, as many scientists now are studying these blue zones, one of them in Loma Linda, California. You have one in Costa Rica, you have one in Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy. I said Italy because I speak Spanish too.
Sure.
And in Greece, there's another blue zone. The majority of people do live naturally. They plant their own vegetables. They exercise naturally. They go out to the stores. They go out on walks and stuff like that. But they don't have membership of a gym, like 24 hours or something like that. But they do exercise naturally. And this is something that we're forgetting. When we go to the store, we just try to find the closest parking spot next to the store, don't we?
I
So
do
we
that.
don't walk.
I'm in that group. I'm old enough to be
No, not
a client.
Not yet.
I'm
You
old
still
enough
have
to be a client.
Okay.
I'm not 100 yet.
I'm on that. I'm going in that direction too.
Now, you have a large family, you have 7 children surviving and married. How broad is the scope of your work? I mean, how far do you actually physically have to travel? Or do you work from a central location and go out?
Well, we do have a main office in Redwood, California, but I'm in charge of facilitating all these groups in the Inland Empire. And recently we got more help about a week ago. But I've been doing groups of seniors in Fontana, here in San Bernardino. I already have 3 groups and 2 more coming up next week. And when I mention groups, there's about 20 people in each group, approximately. I have groups in Riverside, about 5 or 6, English speaking. Mostly what I've been given is the Spanish population.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a tremendous need for the Spanish population because they're not informed as much, and they get taken advantage a lot when they go to the doctors' clinics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this service is helping them a lot. So I have groups in Riverside, about 7 or 8. I have Moreno Valley, about 4 or 5 groups. I have Lake Prairies, and it continues growing. The need is
Well, the need is
exceptional.
worldwide,
Yes,
really.
yes.
And what kind of things do you, what kind of programs do you offer?
We connect either with the city. Our company works with the city of Long Beach, the city of Redwood, and some health providers. So we connect with them, and they tell us, okay, this group of people may need your service because they don't go out as much. They get sick more often when they feel depressed, so they visit the doctor more often. And by providing this service, one important statistic is that I've been doing this for about a year here in the Inland Empire, and they've already reported that about 33% of the members that are active in the groups are not attending or not going to emergencies, about 33% of them, which is incredible in such a short period of time. So it helps their health, helps them motivate to do things. So we start out with, we introduce the talks at a restaurant, and they are a skeptic. They don't want to, you know that you, at a certain age, you receive a lot of phone calls from people that are trying to sell you everything.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So they think when we call, they think that we're scammers too, that we're going to sell them something. And so they come to the restaurant very skeptic also. We tell them that they're not going to pay for anything, and they're still skeptic. So until we introduce ourselves and we show them how real this is, they don't have to pay for anything. We want them to just to participate of the 5 round of talks that we have to become a permanent member of the wider circle, so they can continue staying in contact with their groups for life.
Are these people who live in their own homes, or are they some of them living in facilities as well?
Some of them, most of the ones I had, they live in their own homes. So we are just trying to prevent them from go living in facilities like that, so they can be independent and they can have someone to rely on. But there are people, obviously, that come to the groups that are already having issues with their health, and after a while they get sick, and we have to visit them at facilities sometimes.
I see. So the work that you do you have people who are able to identify medical or psychological problems that might not showing on the surface?
We do have, the company obviously is run by professionals, doctors, and all the health advices that we provide are given to them. We connect, we interact sometimes with the health providers, with the insurance companies. we facilitate information plus services when they need a specific service. And we also have our internal help that we can go to and just help us up and see what the best route will be with certain patients or members.
The largest mall in America is in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to be there during the summer,
Yes.
and I noticed that there were just masses of seniors who go to the mall every day to meet their friends, have lunch, take part of some special things that are going on in the mall. And it brings to mind that why do they go there? They go there because they can meet their friends there.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
can share that most fundamental exercise of having food with somebody else.
Exactly. You know that there are senior centers where they can meet if they can just pay for a membership, which is not much, and they can just get together and have activities at the senior centers. Now, what I noticed in the Spanish community, they don't research for resources because, I mean, where they came from, the difficult life they had, or they just don't know how to do it. So mostly when they don't have anywhere to go, or they don't have family to see, they just stay home. They just watch their novelas, and then at the end of the program, they just go to sleep, and the next day is the same thing. They eat, they watch the TV programs. If they have to go shopping, they do it, but they're very much alone. I have people that have come to the meetings and tell me, thank God because you're here, because I was so depressed, and now I'm looking forward to come to these meetings, to meet with a new group of friends, you know.
Well, when we come back, we're going to take a break in just a minute, but I want to talk about those blue zones again, and maybe you could pick out one that you're familiar with here and see where, I don't know, maybe we, the laymen, can get involved too as being companions, just going out and visit people, show them, play cards, whatever. So stay with us because we're going to be back in just a minute. And remember, you're going to get old too, so take the information that we have here for you today and carry it forward.
In life, we are not alone. We live with and among people. We constantly enter into contact and relationship with others. Some of these relationships are very formal and superficial, but some are very deep and intimate. How do relationships work? We can all easily relate with those relationships that have been wounded, which are sometimes even bleeding. Father Martin Padovani, SVD, has written a book called Healing Wounded Relationships. It is the result of his many years of work as a marriage counselor. He deals with some of the very simple but pertinent topics like communications, listening, intimacy, forgiveness, reconciliation, and dealing with anxiety and fear. And of course, a very practical question: how do you make a marriage work? You will surely be enriched by this book. You should get it for yourself, or maybe get a copy for a relative or a friend. Be blessed by this book and improve your relationships.
Call the number on the screen or email us to get your copy. You can also place your order by visiting our website. Do it today.
We're back with Miguel Loyola from Wider Circle. Maybe you can make your circle wider to include people who need companionship or a little help here and there. Miguel,
Yes.
this program has been in existence for how long?
For about 3 years now. It is fairly new.
And you said that you had a meeting the other day, a restaurant meeting, and you had 50 people.
50 people. It was nearby, about 3 or 4 blocks away from here on I think
And
it's
there was
Waterman.
dancing.
They were dancing, singing, a lot of singing, Spanish songs, La Cucaracha and stuff like that.
Cierto linda, I'm sure.
Sigo siendo el rey.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
a lot of fun.
Yes,
But we were talking about the blue zones.
yes,
These geographically special places across the world. People live to
past 100 years of age, 105, 10, 12.
That's. I hope to live to be 100, because maybe they'll talk about me on the Today Show. You know, Jack is out there in California. He's with his friends at a restaurant with wider circle, talking and singing and dancing.
My grandmother on my dad's side, she lived 114 years.
That is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. She was born on the day of the Virgin, and she died on the day of the Virgin.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, what was her secret?
Well, living naturally and having a large family, you notice that mostly Latinos do tend to have large families. A lot of people that came from Mexico, they come from large families. My wife's side of the family, 12. She is one of 12 siblings. My side of the family, we were 7 altogether, 6 brothers and 1 sister. So, which is strange. Where I come from, Buenos Aires, Argentina, having 7 kids is kind of crazy out there, because they have only 1 or 2 and a dog, and that's it.
Mm.
For the years back when I was born, it was already very popular not to have that many kids, because they wouldn't have enough money to raise them, you know?
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm one of 5, the oldest of 5, and I'm looking at my brothers and sisters. One sister has no children. One had 3, 4, 5. I think 5 is tops in my family at any level back 100 years. But to have 7 children running around, some in diapers, some in school.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a handful. It's like running a small business. I have 5 girls and 2 boys. My youngest one is 8 years old. Then I have a 16-year-old girl and 17-year-old son that wants to be a priest.
He wants to be a priest.
He wants to be a priest, yeah.
Good for him. Is he going to seminary soon?
He's waiting to finish high school. That's a requirement, finish high school, and then he's looking forward to the seminary.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about how a wider circle is funded. And where does the money come from? The work obviously is necessary, needed, and it's expanding all the time.
Yes. Started out with contracts with the City of Long Beach, City of Redwood, and some health insurance plans. We offer the service, and then they say, okay, they give us a group of people that we can communicate with and see how it works, and they're seeing the results. They're seeing that their health is improving, and they want to stay within the same program because they like what they're doing. They like the interaction. We just try to make sure that in every meeting that we have, they get health tips, or in every occasion that we have, we just introduce something that is good for their health. You know, a way of exercising, way of taking care of visiting the doctors, or. And one of the first meetings that we have, we call onboarding. The first one we talk about after the restaurant day. The second meeting it would be, we talk about their rights as patients.
Aha.
How to somehow demand to be treated with dignity.
Right.
Because we noticed that just because of the age, sometimes when they come to the doctor's office, they just look at them differently. They say, well, no, you gotta wait. and but I have an appointment at 10 o'clock. Well, that's okay. The doctor's not here, they tell them, you know. And sometimes they wait 1 or 2 hours. So on that first meeting that we have is eye-opening, because some of them do have those issues, and there are other patients or other members that say, well, my doctor is not like that. My doctor takes care of us, they talk. So that's when they begin to realize that, well, they can go to a different clinic. They don't have to be stuck with a doctor that doesn't care for them, that they just look at them as a number.
I must have seen that they need help sometimes just figuring out exactly, particularly if there's a language barrier,
Yes.
or if there is a psychological, I don't want to go to the doctor, I don't want to go to the dentist. And how do you alleviate stuff like that? You have trained people who can make sure that they get what they need?
Well, when they have to go to the doctor, they have to go to the doctor. We never tell them not to just because they're scared. We, in fact, we emphasize if there's anything wrong, you do have to go to see your doctor. But we do also facilitate how to obtain or how to get the best doctors or specialists. We had members that were complaining, my doctor is terrible, they make me wait. One of them told me that they had to wait for about 3 hours when it goes to doctor visit for an appointment, even though they have an appointment. So once we tell them this doctor is better and most of the patients are really happy with them, they change immediately. The next week they show up and say, hey, we changed doctor, it's amazing, this is beautiful. So there are little changes that we see happening as far as the doctor is concerned, or specialists, or staff that they sometimes think the insurance will not cover because the secretary told them, no, this is not covered. And sometimes they try to, you know, emphasize on medicine that the pharmaceutical companies are pushing. So, and then the insurance company says, no, this is not going to be covered. And they tell them, you take this. And sometimes it's not even necessary. So we open their eyes up on how to communicate with their health insurance and find out if certain things are covered or not, not to just rely on what the secretary tells them, you know.
Right. One thing that I didn't ask you about, is it incumbent upon Creative Wider Circle to go looking for these people, or do they get referred to you mostly?
Well, Wider Circle comes out to the areas where they think the need is there. So, and we offer our service. Some people say no. Well, they say no, we can do anything. But when they say yes, they begin to refer other friends. I have meetings that we start. For example, we were at Our Lady of the Rosary Cathedral having meetings about, we started about 2 months ago. And we finished with the first groups, and those are the ones that we call them graduated, that we went to the party a couple of days ago. So we give them the certificate saying that you completed the course and now you're a member for life. And they get in touch with each other. They have their own phone numbers now. It's a group of friends, a large group of friends now. During those meetings is when we are able to just facilitate the information as far as what's best for them clinically with doctors or treatments that they may need.
You have been a charming and interesting guest, and talking about something that will, of course, be interesting to me as I passed on to into another decade. Speaking for yourself personally, what do you see for the future of work like Wider Circle, and how can this necessary work get done? How can it grow?
Well, it already is growing, because it is growing so much that sometimes I don't have time to talk to my children. You know, I do make time, because the communication I have is on the phone most of the time when we are preparing for an event, and I can keep an eye on my kids so they don't just kill each other. And but I'm at home just quiet down, you know, because
so what you're saying is that it seems self-perpetuating.
Yes,
as the need
growing.
grows, then the work
keep
grows
getting
as well.
busier and busier and busier every day.
Mhm.
And I already have in my responsibility about 400 people that I have to meet with every week, and every day of the week I have a meeting. So whether it is taking them to a park for a barbecue, or taking them to a theater, or having them the talks there. So this week I had basically full schedule.
Keeping busy, that's very
Yes.
important for older people. Keep
Yes.
busy, keep moving.
And they like it, so that's why they keep calling me, are we going to have something this week? Yeah, we will.
Thank you so
You're very
much for
welcome.
coming with us today.
You're very welcome.
The work that you do is just so encouraging for those clients. And I want to just ask God to find the ways and the means for the work to continue, to grow as the need grows, and also to ask those out there, give a prayer for those people, and also thank you for contributing. That's to our ministry here. But anyway,
Thank
thanks for
you,
being
Jack.
with us.
It's been an honor to be here.
In life, we are not alone. We live with and among people. We constantly enter into contact and relationship with others. Some of these relationships are very formal and superficial, but some are very deep and intimate. How do relationships work? We can all easily relate with those relationships that have been wounded, which are sometimes even bleeding. Father Martin Padovani, SVD, has written a book called Healing Wounded Relationships. It is the result of his many years of work as a marriage counselor. He deals with some of the very simple but pertinent topics like communications, listening, intimacy, forgiveness, reconciliation, and dealing with anxiety and fear. And of course, a very practical question: how do you make a marriage work? You will surely be enriched by this book. You should get it for yourself, or maybe get a copy for a relative or a friend. Be blessed by this book and improve your relationships.
Call the number on the screen or email us to get your copy. You can also place your order by visiting our website. Do it today.